His brother Mike McCartney and the rest of his family, according to his comedy relative Ted Robbins, have been left feeling insufficient as a result of Sir Paul McCartney's worldwide renown. Ted, who is 68 years old, has many fond recollections of the Beatles musician attending family events. His mother, who passed away, was Sir Paul's first cousin. Ted's mother was married to Sir Paul. Ted claims that his younger brother Mike was always made to feel inferior to the rock icon Sir Paul because of the latter's fame. After performing with his own bands, The Scaffold and Grimm's, under the name Mike McGear, Mike, who is now 80 years old, could not attain the same level of popularity as his brother, who is now 81 years old. On the Chatterbix podcast, Ted stated that Paul and his mother are first cousins. Have you ever thought about who is the most famous person on your phone when people do that? It's Paul McCartney here, by the way. Auntie Jin, who was Paul's auntie, as well as my mother and father, Uncle Jim, who is Paul's father, and my great-uncle, Uncle Joe, all contributed to his upbringing. Auntie Jin, you are familiar with the tune Someone's Knockin' at the Door. Auntie Jin, when Paul and Mike's mother Mary passed away in 1956, they along with my mother, all the cousins and all the aunts and aunties used to watch after Paul and Mike because they were 14 and 13 years old and in the process of growing up. When I was growing up, I used to listen to my aunties, and they would say things like, "Listen, Cousin Paul is on the radio." It's a peculiar thing because, as people say, everyone in Liverpool, my auntie used to scrub Ringo Starr's steps and all that. Certain members of our family have had their lives somewhat disrupted as a result of it, despite the fact that it is, in some respects, a wonderful thing. I mean, if you compare, you get what I'm trying to say. In addition to Paul McCartney and everything else. Congratulations, you have chosen to become a dentist. The words "Here lies Paul McCartney's brother" are written on the gravestone of Mike McCartney, who is a talented and charming individual, but he is also the one who is afraid. Mike, he is charming. When I see Paul, he calls me and asks how I am doing. I see Mike more often, but Paul is the one who calls me. Emily Attack, an actress and television personality, is Ted's niece. Ted is the sister of comedian Ted Robbins, who is also his girlfriend. According to him, several members of his family have approached Paul with the request to give them a portion of his £1 million fortune. In response, the rocker stated, "All you need is love." Ted detailed the situation by saying, "We have a cousin named Ronnie Fogg, and he is the most scarce man here. In addition to being Auntie Jin's son-in-law and working on the ferries, Ronnie is the most scarce man in the world. He was married into Auntie Jin's family and was Auntie Jin's son-in-law. He's a nice man, Ronnie." In the same way that Paul is like the idiot to Paul's King Lear, he is like the fool to Paul's King Lear because whenever Ian and Jackie, God rest them, who was his father-in-law, they had a large house, they had 9 children, and everyone used to pile in addition to Paul.